I will never ever forget that feeling when that putt went in.
Golf's never over till it's over.
In July of 2012, a man who most people thought was well past his prime was sitting in a chair on the practice green behind the clubhouse at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's. He already finished his round and signed his scorecard. He was watching television, viewing the leader finish up his round. On the screen, a younger man was standing in the fairway 4 shots ahead with 4 holes to play. The tournament was, for all purposes, over. The engraver working on the Claret Jug was preparing to put the wrong name on the oldest trophy in golf. The man sitting in the chair wasn't anxious, he wasn't pacing, he believed, the way you believe the sun will rise, that he just finished second.
There are moments in Open Championships which are key moments when you look back on them, and it's almost as if the gods have got involved.
He had no idea that in 19 minutes he was going to win the Open Championship without hitting another shot. His name is Ernie Els, and he had no idea that 4 years later it would look like he had completely forgotten how to play the game of golf. For over a decade, Ernie Els was the closest thing professional golf had to a god. 6'3", 210 pounds, and he swung the golf club the way you'd close a door in a house with a sleeping baby inside. Slowly, smoothly, silently, and devastating. They called him the Big Easy, and the nickname wasn't a joke, it was a description.
Now, earlier at the 16th checkout, par 3 playing 176 yards. This is a 7-iron that finds the bottom of the cup for his 13th career ace.
He had won the US Open twice, the first time in 1994 at Oakmont. Jack Nicklaus himself called him the golfer of the future. He won the Open Championship. He spent 758 weeks ranked inside the top 10 players on the planet. That's over 14 years of being, by any reasonable measure, one of the 10 best golfers alive.
Oh, no, life was unbelievable.
He had the private jet and an estate at Wentworth outside of London. He also had a swing that other professionals were jealous of. But years later, looking back at that 24-year-old who had just been anointed the future of the sport, Els said something almost nobody expected. At 24, I was way ahead of my time as a golfer, but as a man, I was nowhere. According to Ernie Els, the thing that would bring him crashing into manhood would be his son, Ben. But in 2008, while Els was still near the peak of it all, Ernie and his wife Liesl noticed something about their 5-year-old son. He wasn't hitting his milestones, he wasn't making eye contact, the kind of thing a parent notices and then spends weeks hoping they're wrong about. They ended up taking him to a doctor, and the diagnosis was autism.
I had no idea what autism was, no idea at all.
Now, Ernie's first question to his wife wasn't about golf or treatment or what came next. It was simpler than that, and harder and more tragic.
Between myself and my wife, we had to really educate ourselves. It was a tough time.
He asked, "What did I do wrong?" Liesl would later describe what was happening inside of him. "I think he just wanted to know, were we in any way responsible for what happened to Ben? He was like, I'm supposed to take care of this family. Where did I mess up?" At the Honda Classic that year, Ernie Els walked into a press room full of golf reporters and told them. He put an Autism Speaks logo on his golf bag. In public, it looked like an athlete using his platform for a good cause, the kind of thing that gets a respectful nod and a few sentences in a Wire story. But nobody in that room fully comprehended what was actually happening behind the logo. Here's something almost nobody knew. Long before Ben was born, Ernie Els had a private name for the thing that haunted him on the golf course. He called it the Little Evil Voice. It had been with him since at least 1994, as he recalls, the year he won his first US Open. It pounded doubts into his mind, particularly on his backswing, even when he was the best player alive. When Ben's diagnosis came, the Little Evil Voice didn't stay just on the golf course. It followed him home, planting doubts in all the areas of his life.
We just looked at one another like, what has just hit us? I was really scared. It was a tough moment there for a while, I was still ostrich head in the sand.
Ernie and Liesl packed up their entire life in England and moved to Florida because they found hope in a program there that might help out their son. And in the middle of trying to figure out how to raise a child the medical establishment didn't have great answers for, Ernie Els was still expected to show up on the PGA Tour and make 3-foot putts under pressure, with the same little evil voice now living in 2 places at once, home and the course. Liesl watched and started to notice a transformation in her husband that happened slowly over the years. As she put it, Ernie's relationship with Ben has gone from "what am I going to do with this kid" to "when can I spend time with him again?" It's been a beautiful evolution. But evolution takes time, and while it was happening, Ernie's hands were the things paying the price for this evolution. By 2012, his world ranking had collapsed. For the first time in 19 years, he failed to qualify for the Masters. Everyone watching assumed they knew why, but they were wrong about that too. During the first 3 days of play at the 2012 Open Championship at Royal Lytham, everyone believed the tournament belonged to Adam Scott. And if you were a betting person, he was the man to put your money on. He was playing the golf of his life. With 4 holes to play, he held a 4-shot lead. Commentators were already discussing his post-round interview. The tournament, by every reasonable measure, was finished.
At that point, I think Scott, in his mind, said, okay, I'm Open champion.
His grip on the title had never seemed tighter.
Ernie Els was playing 6 groups ahead of him. He was an afterthought, a name near the top of the leaderboard that nobody expected to matter by the time the day was done. He played a clean, controlled back 9. On the 18th, he rolled in a 15-foot birdie putt, the kind of putt that 4 years later he wouldn't be able to make from 3 feet.
I will never ever forget that feeling when that putt went in. I think it was the loudest roar of my career. The ball just never left the hole.
He walked off the green, he signed his card. He sat down in a chair to watch the rest of the tournament finish, the way you'd watch a film you already knew the ending to. Then, Adam Scott bogeyed the 15th. He missed a 3-foot putt and bogeyed the 16th. Then he pulled his approach shot deep into the rough and bogeyed 17.
It never threatened.
3 shots gone in 3 holes. Scott stood on the 18th tee, needing a birdie to win and a par to force a playoff. He ended up needing to make a 7-foot putt to keep his entire season alive. He missed. Ernie Els had just won his 4th major championship, sitting in a chair 19 minutes after he'd finished playing golf for that day. It looked to everyone watching like a resurrection. The man who missed the Masters that same year had somehow won the Open. The golf world wrote the story it wanted to write. Ernie Els is back. He wasn't back. It was the last flash of light before years of dark. A year after that win at Royal Lytham, while the rest of the golf world still believed Ernie Els was somewhere in the middle of a comeback, his family was living through something the cameras never saw. In the summer of 2013, Liesl was flying from London to Philadelphia with the couple's 2 children and Ernie's mother to watch him play at the US Open at Merion. Ben was 10 years old. The flight to Miami went smoothly. Immigration moved them to the front of the line when officers noticed Ben growing restless. But in the boarding area for the connecting flight, exhausted and overstimulated, Ben had what his mother would later describe as one of his 2-year-old tantrums at age 10 in a crowded airport in front of strangers. A flight attendant told Liesl that unless she could calm her son, he wouldn't be allowed on the plane. They only made it aboard because one of the pilots stepped in to correct the situation. That same week, Ernie Els was hundreds of miles away, standing over putts in front of television cameras, expected to look like a man with nothing on his mind but golf. Ernie would say, "You get to that stage where your child's autism is the elephant in the room, in the player's dining room or at the 18th green, where Ben would have an outburst. I could hear people whispering, 'What's wrong with him?' And I decided, you know what? I need to tell people my son has autism. He's a little different, but he's my boy." The yips is what golfers call it when the brain misfires the signal between intention and execution on short, supposedly simple shots. The yips that Ernie had got worse, steadily and publicly. There's no surgery for it, no swing change fixes it. It's a short circuit between what a person means to do and what their body actually does.
But I could feel there was something going on with my putting, you know, not really my putting with my hands, you know. I was feeling a little uncomfortable. I was starting to miss short putts and so on.
On April 7th in 2016, Ernie Els stood over a 3-foot putt on the first green at Augusta National. He missed it. By the time the ball finally found the hole, he'd putted 6 times from inside 3 feet. He wrote a 9 on his scorecard for a single hole at the Masters, one of the worst scores on the first hole in the 80-year history of the tournament. After the round, a reporter asked him what happened. He made no excuses. "I couldn't get the putter back. I've got a 3-footer. I've made thousands of 3-footers and I just couldn't take it back." You make some stuff up in your brain. I don't know what it is. The clip went everywhere. People laughed. The golf world had its punchline. The big, easy, finished. Undone by a 3-foot putt a weekend amateur could make blindfolded.
Hardly ever golf, but I probably could have made that shot on the first try, maybe.
What none of those people knew while they were laughing at him was where the rest of Ernie's attention had been living for the last 8 years. While the putting stroke that built Ernie's career was quietly disintegrating in front of the cameras, there was something else that he was building. Ernie and Liesl were working on it tirelessly, and mostly out of the view of the public.
You know, it's a good time now to make it more public and come out and try and help other people deal with raising kids with autism.
It was good. It pushed us into starting a lot of wonderful stuff.
They put in $6 million of their own money as seed funding. They spent 8 years raising the rest of the money that was needed. By the time it was finished, the Els Center of Excellence, a campus for offering education, therapy, and research for individuals with autism in Jupiter, Florida, had been built at a cost of approximately $35 million. On August 17, 2015, less than a year before the 6-putt at Augusta, they had opened it. At the opening, a young student named Zach stood at a podium in front of the crowd to speak on behalf of the kids who'd attended. He was a boy with autism, the same diagnosis that Ben carried, and he was standing in front of a microphone and addressing the man the rest of the golf world would soon be mocking on television.
"This school is amazing and special, just like us. Thanks for your generosity. Thank you, Miss Liesl and Ernie, for fighting for us. You're my heroes."
Then Liesl spoke.
I thought that if we could build a facility where these kids could really come and live out and come to their rightful potential, it would be so amazing to be able to show the world just what our kids are made of and just how strong they are, how talented they are, and how far they can really go in life, and what a massive contribution they can make to society.
Then she turned to Ernie in front of everyone and said, "A huge thank you for not only what you have given our child, but the kids out there in the community and across the world." 8 months later, he'd 6-putt at the Masters, and the world would call him finished, but it didn't matter to him because the people who actually mattered to Ernie at that point in his life were calling him a hero. Before they built the facility, Ernie had to drag Ben out of bed every morning just to get him to school. Now, Ben couldn't wait to attend. Not everything about those years was heavy and destitute. A lot of it, away from the cameras, away from the public, was just the joy of a father and a son. By his teenage years, Ben loved nothing more than escaping onto a driving range and simply running around. He's 13 going on 4. I have to chase him down and throw him in the palmetto bush after hugging him. Ben would ride along in the cart during Ernie's recreational rounds, narrating his own thoughts out loud, talking through putts that required total silence. I used to go, "Guys, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." But now the guys don't even hear it. He stopped apologizing for his son a long time ago. Whenever somebody asks me about Ben, it's almost like they want to feel sorry for us. But it's like with any other family. You're going to have parents who have a kid with colic or teenagers with their own challenges. This is just our version of something going on. Ernie Els never got his putting stroke back. There was no final round where that old magic returned, no triumphant major in his 40s to silence the 6-putt. The yips don't always work that way. He played out the rest of his competitive career dealing with the yips the way some old injuries simply never fully heal. But that little evil voice that he had to deal with, the thing on the course and now off the course, was now gone. Watching the two of them, Ben and Ernie, play together, the New York Times put it this way: his son's chatter drowns out the little evil voice in Els' head. I have to say, I agree with him. When I'm around my boy or talking to my boy, I change. I just go into his world. I'm kind of at peace because I'm listening to my boy being himself. In May of 2026, Ernie was playing the region's tradition at Greystone Golf and Country Club in Hoover, Alabama. On Friday, Ben walked the front nine beside him carrying a towel, an easy smile on his face. Ernie shot 4 under on those 9 holes. When Ben left and Ernie had to walk the back 9 without him, Ernie played even par. After the round, Ernie turned to his son on camera and said,
"You walked 9 holes.
9 holes.
On first night when you walked, I was 4 under.
4 under.
When you left, I was only even.
Well, even.
Tomorrow you walk 18, please."
The joy in the room after that comment was palpable. These days, Ernie doesn't talk about majors, world rankings, the yips, or 6 putts the world won't let him forget. No, he talks like a proud father. He talks about the boy who once couldn't even make eye contact, who can now walk 18 holes with him. And that's something that means more to him than any PGA win ever will. Stories like this one are what this channel is built for. So if this is something you like, hit that subscribe button because there's plenty more.